What's up, everybody? It's Dingers time. We're back with another episode of Dingers with the Boys. That's Boys with the Z. I'm Tim. I'm here with Kyle. We got a lot to talk about this week. First, what is going on with NBA referees, man?
Dude, they suck. They've always sucked, but it's like this year they seem to be worse.
It's so funny just watching it because they always talk about like players throwing games and everything. Yeah. And the only ref you've ever heard is Tim Donahue. And all the players and the coaches and everything, they don't want to talk about the refs because they're going to get fined.
Yeah.
Well, for example, last night in the Detroit and New York Knicks game, Detroit got hosed.
Yeah.
It was right at the end. The refs even admitted after, we blew the call. Well, what happens? Nothing happens.
And what probably will happen is Monty Williams, he's going to get fined.
Yeah.
We know that for sure.
It's funny because Monty Williams goes into the press, his press conference. None of the press was there because this was minutes after this happened, so they weren't even there yet.
Which pissed him off even more.
Exactly. And then it doesn't take any questions because I'm sure by the end a couple people ended up coming in.
Yeah.
But I get where he's coming from. He just wants a fair game.
Yeah.
And there's always going to be missed calls. But something that blatant, are you kidding me? What is happening?
I thought it was also interesting, though. There was a lot of frustration with the refs, but they didn't lose that game because of the referees. You can blame them, but you can also blame the second-hand points that they allowed, the turnovers they had.
Okay.
Stuff like that. But
I get where you're saying. However, if you don't want to be in that situation, be better the rest of the game. However, in the situation that they were in, who knows? They still could have lost. They were up by 1, and then the Knicks ended up scoring. They take the lead, and they win. However, they're up by 1. You get fouled. You're getting 2 free throws. You make both of those. There's 7-8 seconds left.
Yeah.
That could lose them the game. I just think it's so ridiculous that it's not even because people are like, oh, they use their challenges. Oh, there's not enough time or whatever. When it's that blatant, there's got to be something where it's. I don't care if every single challenge has gotten used or anything. It's that is a huge turning point in the game, and something that ridiculous and that obvious has to get switched.
Yeah, they should have came together and somebody whoever the crew chief or whoever the lead ref was should have been hey, you missed it or whatever.
I don't even think they can right now though.
Yeah.
But because they can't say, oh, that's a foul or whatever.
Yeah.
At least unless it's a challenge. So I think the NBA needs to switch that somehow, and NBA refs have to be held accountable.
Yeah. I agree.
But do you think it'd be good to fine them? I don't know because they're going to make mistakes. Yeah. So I'm not saying, that's part of the game. They are going to make mistakes. But something has to be, they have to be held accountable somehow.
I wonder, because it seems like the biggest calls that make the most people mad happens in the last 2 minutes. I almost think, it's kind of like how the NFL does it, where last 2 minutes, all reviews come from, a booth. Come from up ahead or
even with fouls and stuff, you think?
Yeah, so maybe not every single one, but those big calls and those big moments of the game, maybe reviews should come back from there, and coaches can't even really challenge because maybe you can still challenge, but
what about this? What if they would add a ref, even in the last 2 minutes or something?
Yeah.
They stay at center court. They can be on one of the sidelines, and they are literally there for these reasons. Hey, you guys might have missed that one. We need to go check it out or something like that.
I could see that because I do think one of the biggest problems is there's only 3 refs. They can't see the whole court. They can't see every single player. Mm-hmm. They can't see everything. They're human, and they're going to miss some stuff. Yeah. So I do think an extra pair of eyes doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
I don't know if that solves every single problem, but it probably would.
Do you think they should be fined or something?
I think they should be fined. Yeah, probably not as much as players because they don't make as much as players. But
or even
like,
just suspended the next game or something.
Yeah,
or,
unless like if it's really really bad, then you can talk about suspensions. But like the thing with refs missing calls and then them getting off like scot free is now like the first joke people make is, oh, that ref must have had the
Money
other
on
team or they must have had money on him, which
and that's
very
thing,
illegal. Like so,
the last night play, it really is like, oh man, it could be really easily because that changed it completely. But I don't know. Do you think the refs missing these calls? Because lately we've had a lot of court stormings that have resulted in some injured players.
Yeah.
We had Iowa, Caitlin Clark, and then Duke the other day.
Yeah.
Wake Forest and Ohio State both stormed the court. Do you think these plays add to that because the fans kind of start getting even more into it and stuff, and not even just at the end, just throughout the game? Do you think that adds to the court storming and kind of gets the fans kind of more psyched and maybe they get closer to the players than they really should?
Oh yeah, I definitely think that plays into a factor. It amplifies the atmosphere. It makes everything like more heated and all that stuff. Because even watching games at home, for me, like if we get a bad call, like I'm yelling at the TV or whatever. Like so, I can't even imagine being at the stadium and if you're an underdog team that came into the match with no chance, like you beat this top team and then you end up beating them, and there also was like a bad call that either went against you or kind of went for you, like that's just, it's creating a dangerous situation. And I think the reason why there are injuries that keep on happening is basketball, it's such a small arena when you kind of think about it, that especially like the college arenas, they're not built for as many fans and they're packed out stadiums, so and you can get on the court in the split of an instant. So I think like it definitely adds to it. But
okay, so now with these, because these were two top players, Iowa's top player, Duke's top player, both got hurt. Thankfully, it doesn't sound like, well, obviously Caitlin Clark didn't miss any. It doesn't sound like the Duke player's going to miss any either. Do you think somehow they need to completely just take out storming the court, or even like the field in football?
I don't know. I think like if you take it out, people are still going to do it. There's no way that you could throw 100 security guards out there. They're not going to be able to hold back 10,000 fans. So
I think they need to do something where it's just completely taken out. And I think it's cool like that they storm it, or
I just don't know.
The problem is I was like, oh, call a timeout or something if there's 10 seconds left and the game's done. But not all the time is you can call a timeout because it's only a 1-point game, or like in football, it's like, oh, a field goal could win it at the end.
Yeah.
And it's not even for the opposing players, which it's the most dangerous, I would say, for them because you got stupid people just coming,
Yeah.
However, it's even for the players that they're fans of because they're running, they want to celebrate with them. Well, what if they like jump into them, they fall, break their ankle or something, And so I think they need to figure out something. I don't know if that's putting a barrier in front or something. I don't want that to happen because that would stink. Or just more security. And I know people are having fun, but you don't want to see these top players. And a lot of people are saying that these players initiated the contact with the fans. However, if the fans weren't there, then and they got to keep their cool too.
Yeah.
But if the fans weren't there, it never would have happened.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It's just like, I go back to, I don't really know how they're going to keep fans from storming. Because,
I think basketball would be easier than football because basketball is really coming from usually the student section.
Yeah.
Well, that's like 2 or 3 sections.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have a like security there at every single right there, you could probably stop them. But I don't know. It's something needs to happen, and I know there's top schools that are really talking about it. I think they said that they're going to meet in the off season, all the conferences, and we'll see. You used to see it in NBA a lot back. I think it was the '80s. The Celtics, they stormed it all the time when they were winning the championship. Yeah. You don't really see it in the pros anymore. It's just colleges, and I don't know why that's changed, but maybe more security.
I think probably security is probably the biggest factor, but you could even maybe have the cheerleaders go over and being like, I don't know, another barrier or something.
Yeah,
like.
but then what if they get hurt too?
Hopefully they wouldn't get hurt. But I just don't know. Like, but you definitely need just more people, I think. But
it's like, hey, you can storm the court, but wait 1 minute till the players get off or something.
Or something like. And like as a fan base, I think too, like you should know that. Like you should know that. Hey.
Don't mess with the players.
Yeah, don't mess with the players. Like,
because I'd love to storm the court.
Yeah,
but
I would too. But
yeah, and even if it's a team that I just do not like at all, you still don't want to see them get hurt.
Yeah.
But, with top players, let's talk about some of the top players in the NBA. It's coming to the end of the season, so the awards are kind of starting to ramp up a little bit. There's a lot of different talks with a 65 game rule in the NBA. And so that's definitely changed some. Joel Embiid was the favorite. I mean, at least the top two. It was him and Jokic pretty much as the MVP. He's no longer eligible, so he definitely won't make it. But what are some of your predictions for MVP?
Yeah, so right now I just wrote down the top 3 players based on odds. They're based on ESPN odds. Right now the favorite is Jokic. Love it. But he's only a slight favorite. And then right behind him is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander from OKC. And then pretty far behind him is Luka Doncic. I think especially if Jokic continues to play how he has, which has been insane, there's no way you can't give it to Jokic. Because if they do snub him again, it's like, why? Because he's doing exactly what he was doing when he won MVP twice. So how come this third time he doesn't win it?
He kind of gets. They look at it and it's like, oh, he's already won 2. Yeah. Does he deserve a third? Well, it shouldn't matter if he's won or not before. Yeah. It's based on that season and that season only. And I'm surprised Luka's that far down. And I know Dallas isn't doing as good as the Nuggets or the Thunder. Yeah. But they're still 33-24, so that's not. Yeah. It's not like a bad. It's not like they're just completely terrible.
And SGA is having a good game or good year as well, and KC's doing really well. But
it's crazy because Luka's actually averaging almost a little over 8 more points than Jokic. He's got 34.3 points per game. Jokic is 26.1. Shai is 31.2. Yeah. And so Jokic is actually the least amount of points.
I'm pretty sure Luka's leading the league in points.
I think since Embiid went out. I think so. And I know it's not all points, but rebounds, Jokic has way over them. He's got 12.3 rebounds per game. Shai's 5.5. Luka's 8.8. But then assists, I find this actually kind of interesting. Jokic has 9.3 assists per game. So he's almost averaging a triple-double. But Luka's at 9.5, so he actually averages more assists than him. Yeah. And then Shai is 6.6. So it's crazy to me that Luka is so far down when he actually has, at least out of those top 3, and then the shooting percentages are all pretty similar. Yeah. He's way down there. And I get his team's not as, his record's not as good, but it's not like they're still in the playoffs, and I don't know. I hope Jokic gets it, just being a Nuggets fan. I could see, because he's won 2 already, I could see people not voting for him because of that. And
it's also with Jokic, everybody just assumed, or they kind of know, oh yeah, he's going to get a triple-double.
You expect that.
There's the word that I was thinking of. Yeah. You expect it from him.
Yeah.
These other guys, you expect it in a way, but not as much as Jokic. Yeah. Jokic has kind of ruined the amazingness of a triple-double.
Well, it's kind of Russell Westbrook did that too, but I think he stat padded a little bit because you'd see at times that he's stealing rebounds if he needed one more kind of at the end and stuff. But I think it's kind of where LeBron has been too. You expect him to do this, so it's it's not that big of a deal when he does it. Yeah. But if somebody else does it, it's oh my gosh. And so you're not expecting this out of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander because you didn't think he was going to be doing this good. And so I think that elevates him even more. Yeah. Luka, you're kind of expecting it a little bit, so maybe that's why he's a little lower too. Yeah. But I don't know.
And then like we said earlier, if it wasn't for the 65 game rule, SGA and Luka might not even be in the conversation. Like Joel Embiid would be up there,
but it'd be Embiid and Jokic.
But I think, has missed. He's missed way too many games now. That even if the 65 game rule wasn't a thing, I think it would be tough for him to win MVP. But who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. Rookie of the Year is another pretty big one this year. Yep. I feel like it's pretty much Wemby and Chet.
Yeah.
I know there's a couple other guys that are doing pretty good, but
Scoot I think is up there, but
Brandon
he's
Miller
also
started.
been hurt. Brandon Miller, yeah.
Jaime Jaquez from Miami, he's another one. But it's pretty much a two-person race.
Yeah.
And I honestly think it's just a one-person race.
Yeah.
The only thing that I could see people being swayed against with Wemby is the Spurs are 11-47.
Yep.
Whereas Chet, OKC Thunder are 40-17.
Yep.
However, you look at their teams, OKC has a much better team. We were just talking about they have an MVP candidate.
Yeah.
If Wemby has that MVP candidate with him, I'll tell you right now, the Spurs aren't 11-47.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But, like, the thing to think about with OKC is they had basically the same exact team last year, plus now Chet.
Mm-hmm.
So, them adding Chet has basically brought them from not even a playoff team last year, or they might have been like a play-in game. But
they were a play-in game. I can't remember.
I think they were a play-in game, like a 9 or 10 or something, but they didn't make the playoffs. But yeah, so they went from not even in the playoffs to now number 2 in the West, all because of Chet, maybe. So
yeah, but like Alexander's playing better too.
Yeah,
you know, I mean, there's a lot of other people playing better.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that like I'll be the first to say I didn't think Chet and Wemby were going to be as good. I thought they would get stomped by the bigger centers and stuff, but they've been they're so long and stuff. But I disagree. I don't think it's because of Chet that they're up there.
Yeah.
I think it helps.
Yeah.
But if you put, like I said, an all-star even on the Spurs, I think
they'd
Wemby,
be a lot better. Yeah.
They're battling for a playoff spot.
I think like the thing that we got to think about with Rookie of the Year versus MVP, I think MVP record matters a whole lot more. What this player does for their team, yada yada yada. Rookie of the Year, I feel like is mostly based on stats.
Yeah.
Like it's basically like, hey, is this player has more stats than this player? So,
yeah. Well, and then I mean, it always brings me back to the 03, 04 Rookie of the Year when it was pretty much LeBron versus Melo.
Yeah.
Melo got shafted.
Yeah.
If you like Melo or not, at that time you liked Melo if you were a Denver fan. You know, he got completely shafted, and it was almost like the name. And it's funny because Melo had, I feel like, a better rookie season, and he led us to the playoffs, and so that's frustrating. But this year, Wemby's at 20.7 points, and Chet is at 17.1, which I found really interesting because Chet plays like a little, almost 2 minutes more than Wemby, which isn't much. You know, that's not much. However, he shoots a lot better than Wemby. So his 3-point percentage is 40.3. Wemby's is 31.8. Field goal percentage is 54.4. Field goal percentage is 46.7. So I just found that very interesting.
Yeah, that is surprising.
So I think Wemby's going to get it, though. I don't.
Yeah, one thing that like I'll note too, the odds are basically all over Wemby.
Yeah.
Wemby is minus 800 right now to win Rookie of the Year.
Something has to change.
Is the next at plus 550.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's really no money in betting on Wemby to win Rookie of the Year. Maybe if you did it at the start of the season, but yeah.
But how about for the most improved player of the year?
Most improved. So the top 3 are Tyrese Maxey. He's the favorite right now, minus 240. But then you have Kobe White at plus 400, and then Jonathan Kuminga at plus 900. Mm-hmm. And I thought this race was probably the most interesting, in my opinion, because personally, I don't really think Tyrese Maxey should be the favorite because, he's having an amazing year, but I think a big reason of that is because of Joel Embiid, and he's in a much bigger role right now, and especially with Embiid out. So is he improved because he actually improved or his situation got better?
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing that, like, has never really made sense to me on the most improved is you look at every single one of these guys and, all right, well, they averaged before, like, 19 minutes per game, but now they're starters, so they're averaging 30 minutes per game. So, of course, your stats are going to be improved because you're playing a lot more. But are you really improved, or are you just, hey, now you finally got your chance? Like, you finally got your chance to start. And then, like, one thing I was interested in, found surprising. So, Kobe White and Tyrese Maxey, they both improved in basically every single major stat, like points, rebounds, assists, all that stuff. But Tyrese Maxey, in games without Embiid, shoots worse on more shots. So, again, like, is he playing really well because all the attention is on Joel Embiid? And now, like, without him, he's struggling a little bit more. Like, he still does well. He still plays well, but...
I agree with you to a point. And, I mean, when you take Embiid, like, a player of Embiid's caliber off of any team, obviously everybody's going to struggle a little bit, you know. Like you said, it is kind of interesting on most improved player because it's usually somebody that was, like, a sixth man or even a starter but wasn't playing as much. But then, all right, you're getting an extra 10 minutes per game or something like that just because of an injury or something. And they do, like, they just get more opportunities. Yeah. So it's like, all right, did they really improve or are they just getting more opportunities?
Yeah.
And so it is interesting. Tyrese Maxey overall is actually shooting at a worse percentage this year than last year.
Yeah.
And it's not like he had a bad year last year. He was averaging 20 points per game. This year he's averaging just under 26.
Yeah.
And so it's not like he had a bad year. He still had 3 rebounds, 3.5 assists per game. His assists went up, but that could be because of Embiid as well. But like you said, he's getting kind of more. I think the most interesting one, though, is the sixth man of the year.
Yeah, and that's another good one.
I think it's interesting because you see sometimes these six mans, it's like they're coming off the bench 2 minutes into the game.
Yeah.
Like, are you kidding me?
Like, are
you actually a sixth man? Yeah. I mean,
technically they are, but yeah.
It's just like Jason Terry did that for years. And it was like, he'd come almost after the tip, first whistle. And it's like, all right, are you just doing this just so you can get the sixth man of the year? And so I think they need to like look at that a little bit more.
Yeah.
I think Bogdanovich is having a great year in Atlanta. I think he should be a starter. Yeah. So I don't think he necessarily should be a sixth man. Yeah. But he's averaging like 17 points per game, 3.3 rebounds, 2.8 assists, and 43%. I know he might not be one of the highest, but I think he's kind of like he could be a dark horse. You know?
Yeah. The person I wrote down, because, I agree, like, I could see Bogdanovich, I guess, winning, but it's very, very slim. That's a dark horse sleeper pick right there. Mm-hmm. But
put your money on it, people.
I don't know.
You're gonna make millions.
Put $5 on it, maybe, and win 100 or
700
something.
Or something.
I don't know. Yeah. But I wrote down Hardaway Jr. for Dallas. He's right now the second favorite at plus 350. And I think, like, when I'm looking at six men, it again comes down to, like, team record and, like, where they're going to end up in the playoff hunt and stuff. And I think Dallas is on the up. I think they're playing really well. I hyped them up with the trades they made, and so I think Hardaway, he is playing like his best year or one of his best years. So I think he could be a pretty good candidate for sixth man. Right now, the favorite is Malik Monk for Sacramento, and he's again like he comes in pretty early. So
I think one person that I know won't win it, however, especially lately, I think he's really killed it, and this might just be because we're Nuggets fans. Peyton Watson.
Oh yeah,
I think he's tremendously has helped huge off the bench, and so there's no way he's going to win it. But I would love to see him win it, man. Maybe next year or something. You know?
Yeah, I think him getting snubbed out of the Rising Stars was nuts.
Yeah, and even some other players.
Yeah,
but yeah, I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of the six man just because
I just think it's like
they play more minutes than some of the starters.
Yeah,
and so I don't know.
I think it's an award that, hey, if you took one of these players and added them onto a team like Detroit, they'd be starting.
Oh, for sure.
Like, they'd be, like, the only reason why they are a six-man is because their team is stacked. Or, like, their team is just really good, or you have somebody
then you're playing
starting
against
ahead
the second
of them.
tier, and like I said, like Bogdan Bogdanovic, he should be a starter probably somewhere else.
But
Where
like,
you when he's playing, it's a lot like of
Yeah.
the other teams, not as good players. But
yeah, like Bogdanovic, like you think of him, like he's not going to start over Trae Young. He's not going to start over DeJounte Murray.
Mhm.
He's too small to start at the forward.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, you're not going to start him because then you'd have to move Trae Young or Murray to the bench.
Yeah.
Like
But
now
somewhere else, he's probably
now that Trae Young is hurt, like
Yeah.
Bogdanovic should get some playing like time.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that'll be interesting.
but
Let's take a break really quick, and then we'll come back and finish the awards and talk about a few other things.
Yeah.
It's Dingers with the boys. We're on YouTube, Instagram, Spotify, and Twitter. Go give us a follow.
yeah, like Tim said, if you like the videos that we're putting out, definitely go follow and subscribe. We'd really appreciate it. But let's just get back to the show.
All right, guys, we're back from our break. We're talking about NBA awards. We still need to take Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, there's
Really,
not
much
really much to
competition.
talk. Rudy Gobert is kind of running away with the competition. He's minus 800. Really, like, quick to notice, too, I was surprised Wemby is actually number 2.
Well, I was going to say, I think they need to, he needs to be in the talk just because, and it is how big he is, but he is a great defender. You know, he's averaging 3.3 blocks a game, which is huge. He's only averaging 1.3 steals, but especially late, it seems like he's getting those 4 or 5 steals a game.
Yeah.
So I think he needs to be in the talk. Rudy Gobert helps so much because you got so many other pieces around you that you don't have to do as much either.
Yeah,
And so
which, like, especially, I think it adds, Rudy Gobert is not really an offensive player, so I think his defense gets highlighted a little bit more because it's a big impact.
For sure.
Because he doesn't really impact the offensive side of the ball
Not
as much.
for sure.
But-
Especially now. That
Whereas,
we're
like,
putting
Wemby
so-
does.
Yeah. Coach of the Year, too. I actually have something that I think you're going to laugh at. But I think it's probably going to go to, I can't pronounce his name. I don't know what it is. But it's the Oklahoma City Thunder coach, Mark Daigneault, I think is how you
I
say
think
it.
that's how you pronounce it.
I don't know. They're 40-17. You know, he's turned this team into top in the West.
Yep.
I don't think they're going to go really anywhere in the playoffs. However, he's had a great year. I also think Mike Brown over in Cleveland, especially how they've been doing the last few couple months, they've been really good. I could see Tyronn Lue in the Clippers a little bit. My dark horse, though, and I don't even know if this is actually possible, is Adrian Griffin.
That would be funny.
From the Milwaukee Bucks. He was 30-13 when he was the coach there. And before the All-Star game, the Bucks were 5-8 without him in the 13 games before the All-Star. But he was killing it. You know, he had second in the East, especially with, you know, you have Damian Lillard coming in. You got a couple other players. You know, their team changed a lot, and he still had them second in the East. They were among the top in a lot of the different ratings and everything. And now, since he left, they have dropped tremendously in all the ratings, like different ratings, like offensive rating, defensive rating, everything. And so, I would love to see that.
Man, I thought you were gonna say like dark horse Malone.
I don't think he even has a chance, honestly.
Yeah, I think the West is just too good.
Yeah. Do you think that would even be possible? Like, how funny
Adrian
would that
Griffin?
be? Yeah.
No.
How funny would that be?
It would be hilarious if he even gets a vote. But
I hope he does, because
yeah,
especially now looking at it, like, yeah, maybe not at the time. It's like, okay, yeah, they were like expected to be there, but then since Doc Rivers has taken over, it's like, man, all right, he was coaching really good. And even Doc Rivers, in his interview, like just a couple weeks ago, he said that he asked the Bucks, like, ownership and everything, and the managers, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
What the
I
heck?
don't know. The world may never know on why the Bucks fired Adrian Griffin, but yeah, that would be hilarious. I'd love it.
I know you didn't see that coming.
I did not see that coming at all.
But let us know what you guys think of the awards as well. Who you guys think is going to end up winning, or maybe a dark horse that we didn't
maybe we didn't even notice
say or anything. We can talk about a little bit of the championship and stuff, but we'll probably talk about that maybe the week or so before the actual playoffs start,
Yeah.
But we are doing this. We kind of said it last week. We've been doing a couple different shorts with it for some Nuggets teams, some Abs teams, different stuff. But we're going to start this simulation bracket, and it's the best of the best. So it's going to be the top. Technically, I guess it's the top 10 teams in the East, record-wise, not necessarily if they won the championship, and the top 10 teams in the West, record-wise as well. And that's of all time that we were going to do. And so, for example, our very number one seed was the Golden State Warriors, who went 73-9. I can't remember what year that was. But,
2015.
15, yep. So they're our number one. We did do some simulations this week because we did do the play-in games, even though we haven't had always the play-in games, but now it seems like it's going to stay.
We love the play-in games, so...
Yeah, honestly, it kind of is like a March Madness feel. It's a one game and done.
Anyone, and like all these all-time teams, like any one of them could make it. Like they could win it, really.
Exactly. Yeah, well, I mean, in our play-in games, we had our worst record was 64-18, and that was the 1995 Supersonics.
You'd be a number one seed, basically, any other year.
Exactly.
They might have been a number one seed. I think they actually were.
That's when the Nuggets beat them.
Yeah.
And that's the huge, the Mutombo holding the ball over his head. Funny thing, George Karl was the coach of the Supersonics that year.
Yeah.
He was later the Nuggets coach, obviously. But, so we did our simulations. We had the Heat, the 2012 Heat, go against the 1970 Bucks for the 8 seed. And Miami ended up winning, so they were for the number 7 seed. So they were the number 7 seed in the East. And then for the number 8 seed, it was the 08 Cavs versus 07 Celtics. Celtics won, so they played the 1970 Bucks. Celtics won, so they are now the number 8 seed.
And then on the West, you had I got to pull it up
06
again.
Mavs.
06 Mavs with the 1986 Lakers. Lakers won, so they became the 7 seed. And then the Houston Rockets beat the 95
17 Rockets.
Supersonics to fight for the 8 seed, but then lost to the 2006 Mavs, so the Mavs became the 8 seed. But one quick thing about all these teams that I thought was interesting. So in the West, 6 out of the 10 West teams were after the year 2005. But on the East side, only 3 of the 10 teams were after 2005. And then, quick little note, put it earlier, LeBron was drafted in 2003, so I thought that made it a little bit interesting and kind of a little tidbit. And another thing pace didn't start getting tracked until the 1973-74 season. Pace nowadays is a big factor of the game. And then I was also kind of surprised that the league average in points has kind of fluctuated. It's been like a little U shape. So our oldest team is the 66 Philly 76ers that they're...
I want to see the bracket. Sorry, we're looking at the bracket right now as well. Just you saying that, I'm looking at the bracket. It's kind of crazy because you see the same teams over and over.
Yep.
You see the Lakers on the West. You see the Celtics on the East. The Chicago Bulls. The Golden State Warriors. Spurs,
It's actually funny. Boston is going to be playing themselves. The 1972 Boston Celtics are playing the 1985 Boston Celtics.
Yeah.
And then even crazier, you had the 2007 Boston Celtics right above them. So
there's a good chance that they could. But it'll be interesting to see how the simulation goes and stuff as well. Yeah. Just because obviously you can't simulate these in that time. And so it's, for example, like we just said, even the 95 Chicago Bulls versus the 07 Boston, or the 2017 Boston Celtics, or 07.
Yeah.
Sorry, 07 Boston Celtics. That's a big changed in the league in that 12 years.
Yeah.
And so
it's a lot more offensive heavy.
Exactly. And so, and then you got like some of the, early or like mid 90s Chicago Bulls versus like the Miami Heat and stuff. And so it'll be interesting to see and how those top players do in the simulation.
Yeah.
But I'm excited to see it. Next week we'll have our top seeds going at it, and we'll kind of see in those best of 7 how they end up doing, And so we're excited. Let us know what you guys think.
Yeah, hopefully you guys like it as well. We're having a blast with it, but
yeah, it'll be fun. Like if you print out the bracket that you see on your screen wherever you're watching, and fill out your bracket, send it to us, see what you think, and maybe me and Kyle will do the same, and we'll upload ours, what we think maybe next week before we do the simulations and stuff.
Yeah, that could be fun.
Yeah, it'll be fun. But this week we got a few game picks. We were thinking about doing another hockey one, but we suck at hockey.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I like hockey, but it seems like I watch the Avalanche pretty much.
Yeah.
And so I don't know as much about the other teams.
Like we said yesterday, or like last week too, is hockey seems like the hardest to pick on because it's
really
so
is
50-50.
Especially those close teams, and we like to pick the close teams because we don't want it to be where it's just a blowout.
Yeah.
And basketball's fun. There's some, it can definitely be big difference and stuff. But we got 3 good ones for you. First, we got number 24 Florida Gators versus the number 18 South Carolina Gamecocks. That's on March 2nd. That's Saturday. And do you want to go first? Or do you want me to?
Sure, I'll go first on this one. This week, I'm picking Florida. I think they played really well against Alabama, who is a really good team, and they only lost in overtime. And then Gamecocks, they've lost 2 games out of their last 5, and they haven't, they were big blowouts. So they haven't really looked that great. So I was kind of surprised that they're the higher seed based just on their record, though. Yeah. So I think Florida, even though they are the away team, I think they come in and get the dub.
Yeah. This was a tough one for me. Both teams are very similar. BJ Mack for South Carolina, he's a great player. He averages almost 14 points per game, 5 rebounds per game. However, on the Florida side, they got Walter Clayton Jr., who's averaging almost 17 points per game. And then they got the big guy, Tyrese Samuel, 7.8 rebounds per game. But of those is 3.1 offensive rebounds per game. And so he loves being on the offensive end of the glass. And I think Florida just has a little too much for the South Carolina. And so I'm going to pick Florida going into South Carolina winning as well. Yeah. That was a tough one for me. I think it's going to be a close one, though.
Yeah.
Our second game we got is number 5 Marquette at number 12 Creighton. That's on Saturday, March 2nd as well. They have played earlier this season. They played on December 30th. Marquette won 72-67, and that was in Marquette. This one's in Creighton. I'll go first on this one. I was kind of going back and forth. I think both teams are pretty good. Sometimes I think Creighton can be a little overrated. However, I think Marquette can be as well. I think honestly, the college basketball March Madness is completely up in there. I don't think there's one or two favorites or anything. And so I'm going to go Creighton. They have his name is Baylor Shireman, I believe, and he is just a beast. He averages 18.2 points per game, 8.5 rebounds per game. They also got Trey Alexander feeding him pretty good with 4.6 assists per game. And Marquette's nothing bad. They got Cam Jones, Oso Ighodaro or Dagaro, I don't know how to say his name. And then Taylor Kolek as well. So they have a lot of pieces as well, so I think they can get it done. However, in Creighton, I think Creighton's going to take home court advantage, and I think they're going to win it.
Yeah, I'm going Creighton as well.
Yeah. By the way, last week I did pick up a game on
one
Kyle.
Game. I was 0-3.
Yeah, so sorry. Just had to put that out there.
Thanks for rubbing that in. But yeah, I'm going to go Creighton as well. I think this is going to be the game of the week, I think. But I'm kind of trying to use some, a little bit of logic, some, little thinking. So Marquette lost to UConn, but then Creighton beat UConn. Mm-hmm. So theoretically, that means Creighton could beat Marquette. So that's where I'm kind of going with. But I think it's going to
Marquette
be
destroyed UConn
Yeah.
too. It was like a 22-point game.
yeah.
And so everybody's
Or
like,
you
holy
mean
cow.
UConn destroyed? UConn destroyed Marquette.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then Creighton destroyed UConn.
Yes.
So yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I was looking at it earlier.
Yeah.
You're right.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so that's my thought process on that. But I mean, looking at both teams, they're both very similar offensively, very similar defensively. They shoot basically the same.
Yep.
On paper, they look identical. But I think Creighton, they beat the big teams before. I think they can do it again versus Marquette.
Yeah.
So I'm going Creighton.
All right. Our final game, Ohio State. This is girls basketball, women's college basketball. Number 2, Ohio State at number 6, Iowa. This is on Sunday, March 3rd. They have played before. They played on January 21st, so just a little over a month ago. Ohio State beat Iowa in overtime, 192. That was the game that Caitlin Clark ended up getting a little hurt after the game with the court storming, as we talked about earlier. I'll go first on this one again. I think this is going to be a great, big, high-scoring game again. You got J.C. Sheldon on Ohio State, Cody McMahon as well. They're 18 points per game, 14 points per game, so they definitely like to score. Good at rebound and assisting. However, I don't think Caitlin Clark's going to let them lose at home against Ohio State after beating them or after losing to them. And she's so close to that all-time record.
51 points.
Yep, exactly. And so I think she could actually beat it in this one.
I think so too.
She does have one game before that, so I think she should. Yep. So I think she should beat it in this one. She's averaging 32 points per game, 7.3 rebounds, 8.5 assists. Just the way the game went last time and how it ended, how she did get into it like with a fan, I think she's going to come out and she's going to really this is going to be a statement game for her, and especially them being ranked number 2. I think Caitlin Clark's going to just have a huge triple double. I think they're going to win it.
Yeah, this was a tough one too because I think Iowa's been kind of playing worse with Caitlin Clark being so close to the record. Mm-hmm. They've lost 2 of their last 5, which the 2 games they lost to were first opponents that they probably should never lose to, Nebraska. And then,
well, they definitely shouldn't have lost that one because they were up on
Indiana,
that game too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's like, in Indiana, they got destroyed.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I agree. I don't think Caitlin Clark is going to allow them going into the March Madness. This is their last game of the regular season. I don't think she's going to let them lose 3 games, almost back to back to back in that short of a span. So sorry, Tim, you're not going to get any game picks on me this week, but
it almost makes me want to switch one of my picks.
But, yeah, I think I'm going Iowa as well. I do think she's going to break the record. I think she's playing Minnesota earlier this week. I think she's going to score 30 plus against them, then score 30 plus versus Ohio State, get the win, become the leading scorer in college, and ride into the sunset, ride into March Madness. So, but yeah.
Man, I honestly want to switch one of my picks. I'm debating on switching one.
I don't know,
just because I think it adds a little more fun to it.
It does.
Oh my gosh. I'm pretty confident in all 3.
I am too.
I'm gonna leave them. I'm sure we'll probably lose all 3.
I'm actually looking forward. I'm glad that we all picked the same because last season, last year, I was tracking games that we agreed on, and we did really well.
Yeah.
This year, have not. So I'm really hoping both of us go 3-0. Helps our egos. Helps create a streak. But yeah, I'm actually glad we picked.
I'm gonna keep it, but we'll see. But that's all we got for this week. We talked about a lot of stuff: NBA refs, court storming, awards, our simulation games that's coming up, our picks. And definitely let us know what you think. We love hearing your guys' feedback, just what you enjoy about what we talk about, what we don't. We do got, hopefully, a couple more guests here coming on soon. Hopefully you guys liked Book last week. I know I enjoyed
he was
a lot.
Fun. You taught me a lot. So.
Yeah, I enjoyed just hearing him talk about a few things that just from his childhood and stuff I thought I was a huge Denver fan and stuff, I had no idea about everything. So this was fun to have somebody else and kind of just see what they thought about everything. So, but that's all we got. We hope you guys have a great week. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Spotify, YouTube, especially that YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. We definitely enjoy that. But yeah, let us know what you think, and you guys have a great week.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, our goal is to get better every single week, every single video. So we love criticism, we love comments, and love hearing your guys' feedback. So, but yeah, me and Tim, we have a blast with this every single week. But yeah, we can't wait until the next one.
Yep. Well, we will see you later, alligators.
Peace.